masculinity is not up for debate. There was a time, not long ago, when being a man meant something. When your word was your bond. When you were measured not by your image, but by your endurance. When strength wasn't a luxury, it was survival. But somewhere along the way, the world decided it didn't like that. It called masculinity toxic. It told men to soften, to apologize for who they were, to trade grit for politeness, edge for comfort, leadership for compliance. And too many men obeyed. They lowered their voices. They hid their opinions. They became less dangerous, less decisive, less alive. They traded their sword for a screen, their principles for approval, their backbone for a like button. They told you masculinity was aggression, that it was control, domination, violence. They cut out all the discipline, all the sacrifice, all the honor, and left only the worst caricature of manhood. Then they told you, don't be that. And they made it sound noble to strip yourself of your edge. They told you to be agreeable, to avoid confrontation, to blend in. But masculinity is not the enemy. Weakness is. And here's the paradox. A man stripped of his masculinity is more dangerous, not less. Because a man without strength, without mission, without control over himself, is desperate. And desperation has no honor. True masculinity is not about harming others. It's about protecting them. It's not about controlling women. It's about controlling yourself. It's not about avoiding fear. It's about walking into it willingly. Masculinity is the discipline to rise when you'd rather sleep. The restraint to act with precision when anger burns in your chest. The endurance to keep moving when the weight of life crushes your lungs. It is the force that holds the line when chaos comes. The wall your family can stand behind. The steady hand in the storm. The unshakable frame in a collapsing world. Why they want it gone. Weak men are easier to control. They consume instead of build. They obey instead of lead. They choose comfort over conviction. So if you wanted to weaken a civilization, you wouldn't attack it head on. You'd hollow out its men. Make them ashamed of who they are. Convince them their instincts are flaws. Replace their hunger with sedation, their discipline with distraction. That's why the attack on masculinity is not an accident, it's a strategy. And too many have fallen for it. Strip a man of his masculinity, and you strip a society of its protectors, its builders, its leaders. You leave homes without fathers. You leave communities without defenders. You leave a generation with no example of strength, only passivity. And passive men don't stop evil. They watch it spread. They excuse it. They adapt to it. Evil doesn't fear kindness. It fears competence. It fears a man who knows who he is and will not move. Masculinity is not a performance. It's not about tattoos, muscles, or a beard. It's about ownership. Owning your word. Owning your time. Owning your emotions, your actions, your failures. It's the quiet power of the man who needs no applause, no validation, no permission. A man's masculinity is seen when he keeps going after being underestimated. When he stands in front of danger for the sake of others. When he makes the hard decision and bears the weight of it without complaint. Being a man is not about privilege. It's about burden. And if you run from that burden, you betray yourself. The world will tell you that responsibility is oppression. That carrying weight is unfair. That you deserve ease. But masculinity knows the truth. Ease will kill you faster than hardship. A man without weight to carry rots. His spirit collapses. His instincts turn inward and poison him. Responsibility is the crucible. It's where strength is forged, where weakness is burned off. Pain is the proof. You will not find masculinity in comfort. You will find it in pain. Pain is the test. Pain is the measure. Pain is the proof. You can talk all day about what you stand for. But until you've bled for something, until you've stood your ground when your legs shook and your voice cracked, you are still unproven. And the thing about pain is this. It doesn't care about your politics. It doesn't care about your beliefs. It will reveal you to yourself. You will either face it with honor or fold in shame. Masculinity is not about winning every battle. It's about being unbreakable even in defeat. It's knowing you can lose everything and still remain who you are. A true man does not dissolve when life strips him bare. He rebuilds. He adapts. He stays dangerous. He stays disciplined. He stays himself. We don't need new definitions of masculinity. We need to return to the old ones. Honor, courage, discipline, duty, self-mastery. The kind of masculinity that builds empires, defends families, and dies before it kneels. We need men who are not swayed by the winds of culture. Men who are anchored in principles older than time. Men who are both kind and lethal. Men who know peace is only possible when danger is mastered. Masculinity is not for everyone. This is the hard truth. Not every male will be a man. Manhood is not granted at birth. It's earned in the crucible of life. Through sweat. Through scars. Through years of doing what's necessary, not what's easy. Some will reject this path. They'll choose the comfort of the herd. They'll mock the man who stands apart. They'll drown in their distractions and die soft. Let them. They've chosen their fate. At some point, you will stand alone. No crowd. No applause. No backup. That's the moment where masculinity reveals itself. Not when you have power, but when you have nothing, except your will. The man who can stand alone, unshaken, unmoved, is a man no system can break. The oath every man must take. If you call yourself a man, you owe an oath, not to the world, but to yourself. To protect what's yours. To master yourself before you try to lead others. To endure pain without whining. To speak truth when it's costly. To live in a way that would make your ancestors proud. And to do all of this without needing the world's approval. Masculinity is not up for debate. It doesn't need your agreement. It doesn't need a rebrand. It doesn't bend to opinion polls, hashtags, or trends. It is older than this world's politics. It is deeper than this culture's noise. It is the primal force that has carried humanity through every storm. And when the next storm comes, and it will be men anchored in true masculinity who hold the line. So stop apologizing for being a man. Stop softening to make others comfortable. Stop hiding the edge that was put in you for a reason. The world does not need fewer strong men. It needs more. Now more than ever. Because masculinity is not toxic. It's oxygen. And without it, everything dies.